Yeah.
And obviously that bond, that connection just has got stronger and stronger. And I know that Miracle has been hugely influential and beneficial for Kyle, who has cerebral palsy and autism. But I think Kyle has also played a massive part in Miracle's recovery, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely, having spoken to you about it so many times, you can tell that, you know, that was reciprocal. It goes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how they have both sought solace from one another, how they've helped one another over the last few years?
I mean, it was something that Miracle, he really was a broken dog when he arrived, and there's so many quirks when it comes to rescue animals, and it's all about reading that no two animals are the same, and it's about reading those animals, reading their body language and watching their behavior to see how much you can push a situation, you know. And when I say push a situation, put them in areas that they've never been before, put them in areas where all of a sudden they're listening to a vacuum cleaner, they're listening to a washing machine. It's all these things. It's about testing their boundaries to see how much they're going to allow. And so obviously careful introductions. I've got a child. I'm not just going to put, you know, the two together straight away. So there wasn't an introduction straight away. We did it gradually, and we would let them be in each other's company. But I think with Miracle, he was absolutely, it was evident he was terrified of men, absolutely. And things like cigarette smoke would scare him. It was okay for me to wear a baseball cap, being around the kennel, working with the dogs. You know, I've normally got my hair scraped back, baseball cap on. But Tobias, it wasn't okay for Tobias to wear a hat. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't okay. This man in this house, in this close proximity, was not allowed to be in his space. It terrified him. So there was situations where I would see Miracle literally jump over furniture about 4 foot high, or scramble to get away. He'd jump over the sofa to avoid being in the same path. So in the past, what I've always done is, with any other rescue dogs that have been really spooked, I would have Tobias just completely ignore him, ignore any dog, but he would have a supply of food in his pocket, so he could be walking around the house and dropping little morsels of food without even speaking to the dog at all. So the dog would follow the food trail and think, oh, he's just dropping food everywhere he walks. This is good. I'm going to follow him now. So it's worked in the past. So they're the kind of things that we would do. And what broke my heart about it was Miracle wasn't ready for that. I mean, Tobias would literally lay on the floor, watch TV, ignore this dog was even in the same room, and be surrounded in morsels of food. And the dog was still so terrified that he wouldn't risk running up to even snatch something. So he was very different from other dogs that's worked with in the past, you know. So we found that it was, he definitely needed longer. So it was just adjusting things, that allowing, you know, when he was going to allow Tobias to be in his space. So we found that ignoring him was probably the best thing. Absolutely fine for anything I wanted to do. That wasn't an issue. He clearly never had a problem with women. It was just men. So I would say it probably took up to about a year before Tobias could comfortably lay a hand on Miracle without him wondering, okay, you're petting me now, but is this going to change?
Right.
You know?
And was it during that year that he really bonded with Kyle?
Yeah, I think it was at that point, because Kyle's non-verbal, and that's down to the autism. So Kyle can't walk, he can't talk. So Kyle makes sounds, but the sounds that he makes, we know when Kyle's going to have a meltdown. We know when it's a little temper tantrum that he's going to have, just like any other child. And we know when he's really, really happy, depending on the tone. And the one particular sound can actually mean two things. But if it's done in a high tone or a low tone, one tone can mean I'm not happy about something, but that same sound can also mean that he's really happy. But it just depends on how Kyle projects it. So we started to notice that if Kyle was upset, Miracle would just walk over and let Kyle touch his coat or touch his head, touch his back, and maybe just that sensory feeling of touching that fur was something that could take Kyle from maybe being in an agitated state to, oh, I'm not thinking about that anymore. You know, I'm not thinking about being upset or what I was upset about 10 seconds ago. And Kyle's always had a thing with any of the dogs that the more they wag their tail, particularly when he was younger, he found it hysterical, to the point it would send him into absolute hysterics beyond belief. I remember as far back as even when he was a baby, he laughed so much it made him sick. He found it so funny. But yeah, I mean, with Miracle's just, he's very, very gentle. Kyle loves all the dogs, and there's many of our dogs that are absolutely fabulous with Kyle, but Miracle's very respectful. So he's not the type of dog that'll jump up for attention and upset Kyle. He literally won't jump up on Kyle's wheelchair buggy or any of these things. And it's only now that we've noticed that as Kyle's got older and he can hold himself upright, he can sit on the sofa with mum and dad and watch some TV, that Miracle will jump up beside him and curl up, you know, and either Miracle wants a cuddle or Kyle, do you need me? That's the type of things that we've noticed, that it's evolved from how respectful he's been when he realised he was this fragile little soul to the fact that now he's growing up, he's 11 years old. So it's almost like Miracle realises that the boundaries have changed as well, that he can jump up beside him, that he's not as fragile as he used to be. You know?
Yeah. No, I think sometimes as parents, we think we have a child and it's just a little child, and we don't really maybe listen to what they're trying to tell us with as greater value as when we listen to an adult. And then we have to remind ourselves that actually they are just their spirit is just as strong. And sometimes dogs, it resonates with dogs more.
Absolutely.
Down and really understand what that child is trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even in a non-verbal child like Kyle.
Yeah.
So it's really
there's an understanding there, and it's something that I don't know if I'll ever really be able to fully understand. Sometimes I've thought, you know, Miracle is such a spiritual dog. He picks up on so much, and sometimes I look upon him as being like a little guardian angel, that he really, sometimes, you know, for those that have read my book and know that Kyle was a twin, you know, and we lost his brother at 26 years old. You know, sometimes I think, is it one of the dogs that was so close to me in the past that's came back to help me out, you know, or is this someone else? Is this, you know, it's difficult to describe. It's difficult to put into words, and there's a lot of people that would think that may sound crazy, but watching the behavior and having a dog that literally, I swear, knows what I'm thinking before I'm just about to do it. He picks up on so much that sometimes I say to myself, you've been here before. Definitely. You know, I do think that way.